Lieutenant Emma Groves had spent 3 fragile human months among the predator clans, ancient apex hunters who considered every species either prey, rival, or food, earning their grudging respect with patience sharper than any blade. But when the coup erupted and the royal line was slaughtered, leaving Prince Kale and Princesses Sierra and Myra orphaned, tradition demanded the cubs be executed to prevent future challenges. Emma refused. She invoked the ancient guardian clause, trial by combat for the right to protect them, knowing full well she was soft-skinned, breakable, a creature whose bones could snap under a single careless swipe. Yet she stood in the proving arena, blood dripping from her chin, facing 17 duels in 9 brutal days. High Hunter Vexwrath towered over her, contempt thick in his voice. Why persist, human? She glanced back at the 3 terrified cubs, their golden eyes clinging to hope. Because they're cubs, she whispered. The gong thundered. Opponent after opponent came. Corvash the cutter with claws like scythes, assassins, berserkers, veterans of 40 wars, monsters who had slain challengers by the dozens. Emma used broken bones as leverage, pain as fuel, tactics born from desperation in a species too stubborn to die. She rolled under killing blows, shattered knees with hidden pipes, turned mercy into weakness, turned weakness into victory. By the 14th match, she was barely conscious. By the 15th, she felt no pain at all. By the 16th, she moved like instinct itself. And at sunset, the 17th opponent entered, General Krikva, the mastermind of the coup. He studied her battered body, and for the first time, a predator felt doubt. "What are you?" he growled. Emma remembered humanity's long, bloody history, runners finishing marathons on broken legs, mothers lifting cars to save their children, ancestors who hunted mammoths with nothing but fire and will. "I'm their mother now," she rasped, "and you should have killed me on day 1. She attacked with primal ferocity, older than civilization, older than fear. Every strike fueled by the tiny, trembling hands pressed against the barrier behind her. Krikva was stronger, faster, armored, but Emma Groves simply refused to stay down. Every time he knocked her to the stone, she rose again, laughing through blood. And finally, the unthinkable happened. Krikva staggered. Humanity needed only an inch. Emma took it. When the dust settled, her knife rested at the general's throat. Silence fell. "I yield," Krikva whispered, the ancient words that rewrote tradition. The cubs belonged to her now. Emma collapsed, waking 3 days later in the medical ward with Kale clutching her hand, Sierra and Myra curled protectively against her side. Vexwrath bowed. "The clans have voted. The coup leaders are exiled. The cubs will be raised as royalty, under your protection." She smiled weakly. "Good." When he asked how she endured, Emma looked at the children who trusted her with their entire world. "I just couldn't let them die." And across the galaxy, predator clans whispered a new legend, not of a monster, but of a soft-skinned mother who survived 17 duels in 9 days and showed an ancient race what true predators really look like. 3 weeks after the arena, Lieutenant Emma Groves, now Guardian Emma of the royal bloodline, walked through the ancient citadel where stone walls still bore claw marks from wars older than human civilization. Her bones had healed, but slowly. Her limp remained, a quiet reminder that even legends pay a price. The cubs never left her side. Kale practiced walking with his tiny wooden spear, promising he would one day be as strong as Mother Emma. Sierra shadowed Emma like a miniature bodyguard with oversized bravado, and Myra, smallest, quietest, watched everything with sharp golden eyes that worried Emma more than the others. Silence in a predator meant instinct, calculation, danger. But peace never lasts in a warrior culture. The clans whispered that a soft-skinned outsider holding royal authority was an insult to their ancestors, a violation of the old ways.
A faction known as the Bloodbound Council began gathering followers in secret. Warriors disappeared from their posts, caravans were ambushed, ancient banners were burned. Someone wanted the cubs dead. Again. And Emma felt it every time she awoke to the sound of claws in the hallway. One night, alarms shrieked through the citadel, deep, resonant tones that had named every war and predator history. Emma grabbed her blade and sprinted, ignoring the pain in her side. The cubs were in the nursery chamber. She burst in seconds before assassins reached them. 7 elite hunters with red-painted jaws, the mark of the bloodbound. The largest stepped forward and sneered, "You cannot protect them forever, human." Emma didn't bother answering. She smashed a lamp against his face and dragged the cubs behind a stone pillar just as the assassins lunged. The rune became chaos, blades flashing, stone cracking, cubs crying. She fought like she had in the arena, but this time she wasn't fighting for a title or tradition or honor. She was fighting for her children. Kale clung to her back, Myra hid beneath her coat, Sierra hurled anything she could lift at the assassins, hissing like a tiny wildcat. Emma slit one throat, broke another's elbow backward, ducked a swing that would have opened her skull, and improvised weapons from anything she touched. A shard of pottery, a curtain rod, even a ceremonial relic that definitely wasn't meant to be thrown like a javelin. But 7 elite hunters were too many. One pinned her, claws tightening around her neck. Emma felt her vision dimming. Then, a roar shook the chamber. Vexwrath himself, High Hunter, crashed through the doors with a dozen warriors behind him. The assassins scattered as Emma dragged herself upright, coughing blood. Vexwrath stared at her, not with contempt this time, not even respect, but with something deeper. "Guardian," he growled, voice almost gentle, "you bled for the cubs in the arena. Tonight, you bleed for them again." Emma nodded, wiping blood from her lip. "I'll bleed as many times as it takes." The cubs ran into her arms. Kale trembling, Sierra furious, Myra silent, too silent. Then she whispered, "Mother, they weren't here to kill us. They were here to take us." Emma felt the temperature drop, because that meant something far worse. A rival claimant wanted the cubs alive. Someone planning to use the royal children as pawns. Someone powerful enough to command elite assassins. A deeper conspiracy than the coup. Vexwrath sensed it too. There is a second traitor, hidden, waiting. Emma lifted Myra into her arms and stared into the dark corridor beyond the shattered doors. She knew this wasn't over. The arena had been a battle. This was war, and she would burn the entire predator homeworld to protect her cubs.
In the days following the assassination attempt, the predator citadel shifted like a wounded beast. Guards doubled, corridors sealed, ancient banners replaced with war sigils. Yet Emma felt the truth gnawing beneath the surface. The attack had been too precise, too trained, too disciplined. Someone with authority had given those assassins access. Someone inside the royal hierarchy. While the clans whispered civil war, Emma watched the cubs closely. Kale practicing spear forms with Vexwrath, Sierra clambering across balconies with terrifying enthusiasm, and quiet little Myra, who sensed danger before anyone else. It was Myra who tugged Emma's sleeve one evening and whispered, "Mother, someone is watching us." Emma followed her gaze and saw nothing, but she trusted Myra's instincts more than any guard. That night, Emma set a trap. She placed the cubs in a guarded decoy room and hid with a silent blade above the rafters, muscles coiled in agony but resolve stronger than iron. Hours passed. Then footsteps. Soft, controlled, expert. The door eased open.
A tall predator entered, draped in ceremonial armor, face painted in old royal colors. Emma felt her blood run cold. High Counselor Varkesh, the elder who had pretended neutrality during the coup, the one who had publicly supported Emma's victory, the one who had insisted the cubs be trained under his guidance. He approached the empty beds, growling in frustration. "Where are they? My throne is rightfully mine." And there it was, his motive, his betrayal, his claim. Emma dropped behind him, blade pressed to his throat. "Looking for something, Counselor?" she whispered. Varkesh roared and swung his arm, knocking her across the room with bone-breaking force. Pain exploded in her ribs, but she rose anyway. He drew a hooked war spear as tall as she was and advanced. "Human, you meddle in the affairs of hunters far older than your kind. The royal line is extinct. The cubs belong to me." Emma spat blood. "No, they belong to me." The fight tore through the chamber. Emma rolling under strikes that split stone pillars, slashing at joints, turning debris into weapons. Varkesh was older, slower, but monstrously strong. Each blow threatened to end her, but Emma Groves was fighting for her children. And humans, when cornered, become something even predators fear. She smashed a lantern across his face, jabbed a blade into his forearm, shattered his knee with a chunk of stone. Varkesh bellowed and grabbed her throat, lifting her off the ground. Her vision dimmed until a tiny roar echoed behind him. Kale, Sierra, and Myra stood in the doorway. Kale charged first, stabbing Varkesh's ankle with his wooden practice spear. Sierra hurled a metal goblet at his skull. And Myra, quiet, gentle Myra, sank her tiny claws into his tail, the fiercest expression Emma had ever seen on a child. The distraction lasted 1 second, but 1 second was enough. Emma seized Varkesh's arm, twisted, and drove her blade straight through the soft gap beneath his jaw. The counselor fell, shaking the floor. Blood pooled across the stone. Emma collapsed beside him, breathing raggedly. Vexwrath arrived moments later, warriors behind him, eyes widening at the scene. "The traitor is dead," he growled. "The clans will know the truth." But Emma was staring at the cubs, Kale trembling, Sierra puffing bravely, and Myra wiping tears. They rushed into her arms. For a moment, the galaxy was silent. Then Vexwrath knelt, a gesture no predator had given a human in recorded history. "Guardian Emma, you have slain the usurper, defeated our greatest warriors, and protected the royal line with fury we did not believe your kind possessed. The clans have voted." He lifted his head. "You will not only raise the cubs, you will rule until they are grown. You will be the regent of the predator clans." Emma's breath caught. She had come here as a diplomat, a negotiator, a visitor. Now she was about to become something impossible, an apex among apexes. She looked at the cubs, their small hands gripping hers. "If this is what it takes to keep them safe," she said softly, "then I'll be your regent." Outside drums thundered, clans gathered, legends began, because the galaxy would soon learn a terrifying truth. The predators had a new ruler, and she was human.